Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Jillian Belli from Misfit Mixers. Her debut title, Murder on the Rocks, that mixes poison drinks and dancing, is currently on Kickstarter. Jill, welcome to the binge. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is awesome having you. I get excited talking about these kind of murder mystery games. I've never played a murder mystery game. The closest I can get, I guess, is vicariously through like watching The Office, right? When they had the murder mystery on that episode of The Office. But I always love to kind of hear those who've created these games or these who've played these kind of games talk about them. And it just made so much sense to have you on the podcast. Before we kind of jump into that though, like I was reading your bio and like, holy smokes. So can you talk a little bit about what your career is?
Yeah, so my day job, when I'm not designing games, is I work cyber forensics for a major retailer on the East Coast, retail and gas. My day job is cyber forensics, basically collecting evidence and kind of responding to incidents and stuff like that. My background is I have a PhD in cybersecurity.
Wow.
So I also teach at the University of Arizona Global Campus. I teach cybersecurity. So I do a lot outside of game design. I just one day accidentally stumbled into game design. I wasn't actually looking to design a game. I just accidentally fell
Yeah.
into designing Murder on the Rocks.
And then with the cybersecurity, like I'm trying to get my head around exactly what that is. So is this like looking for people that are like hacking sites? Is it looking for vulnerabilities or what's involved in that?
So, it's kind of when you get down to what I do on a day-to-day basis, it's a very boring job. I love my job. I want to throw that out there in case my boss is watching. I love my job. But basically, it's just supporting legal in whatever they need
Yeah.
for their court cases. So whether that be from a major incident of like someone hacking in. So basically, my job is to preserve evidence. So when you watch like CSI or something like
Mm.
that, you see them kind of they put it into like a bag, like the weapon or whatever, into a bag and seal it. So my job is to go and preserve digital evidence. So whether it be a cell phone, laptop, I collect that evidence and I'm that first person basically putting it into a bag and following the chain of custody so that it makes it to court.
Are
So
you
like when
literally
you put
putting
it
it in the bag? Like you're like the person
no,
putting the bag and like zip?
um, I have flash drives. I do things like that are portable, like cell phones, flash drives. I have put into a bag and labeled it and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But um, I mean, like when we collect them, we put them onto. I don't have any of the drives near me, but we have like little SSD drives that we put them in, throw them in a bag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not taking like a whole laptop and putting it into a bag. Typically, since I'm an internal, we get the laptop, we bring it to the lab and collect it like that.
And in terms of like preserving, I gotta imagine like, and I know this has nothing to do with board games, but I just find it fascinating. Is so things like thumb drives or even hard drives and things like this. There's obviously the risk of things kind of being corrupted, right, or magnets being near it and things like that. So is there like a heavy focus on just making sure that like the integrity of whatever that thing is that has that stuff is somehow got dampeners around it to prevent any possible kind of damage on route between when you're ready to kind of analyze it when you collect it?
So the magnet stuff with like cell phones and stuff like that, they kind of have protections and stuff like that. Some of the bags have that. Uh, Solid state drives, they don't really have a lot of moving parts, so our bags are just like plastic with like words on them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Same with flash drives.
Oh, it's amazing. And then like natural inclination, I think when I think of like Murder on the Rocks as a game, there's obviously tie into like legalities and things like that, right? And how people we're thinking of like CSI and things like that. Like I can see kind of the connective tissue here. Was there ever something a little more on nose that you had started with, or that you have in development behind the scenes around kind of this whole forensics angle at all? Or
No, I actually started designing Murder on the Rocks around cocktails first, not around murder mystery whatsoever. The first game, and I say game because it
yeah,
really was not a game, I designed was space exploration. So the idea was um, it was an interactive drink kit. So it
yeah,
came with all the drinks within the box to make 16 drinks total. So you could play with up to 16 people, one drink per person. And like you basically created the drink as you were playing your space exploration. So you were unlocking boxes with riddles to create this drink. Well, my friend, it was just riddles. So it wasn't like it's like a true game. It was just you
yeah.
solve these riddles and then that's it. Um, my friend was like, why don't you gamify it? Make it replayable, make it so that people want to come back and do this again. Like it's not just a one and done kind of party kit. And I was like, okay. So I started to go down that path of, well, how do I gamify this? How do
Yeah.
I make it so, and that was like the first time I actually started thinking about this as a game and not as a just a product that I was making. I even applied for a patent because it was like such an original idea of the kit that I was making.
Mm.
Um, so um, so I started going down that path, and then like once it started to create become a game, then a lot of the issues of it being a drink kit started to arise. So it was okay. So now it's a drink game. So like, how do I get the liquids to these people without it being extremely expensive?
Hmm.
How do I shipping, manufacturing? I talked to one manufacturer and they were like, the vials are going to be like you have to make 100,000 of one vial.
Oh boy.
And so that's one ingredient, and there's 10 ingredients.
Yeah.
So we're racking up the price here, and so um, I was like, I don't know how to do these liquids, and even so, like maybe I want to do something that is a murder mystery, true crime, because I
Yeah.
really am into true crime. I got court TV on upstairs
Yeah.
watching watching a trial right now that uses digital evidence. So that's why I'm really kind of really interested in that trial. But so I was like, okay, well, it's going to be too expensive. I don't want to charge people $100 a kit to play my game.
Yeah.
So I decided to remove the liquids, include the two vials,
Hmm.
and that's how kind of my process to coming to where I'm at now with the way I'm developing my games. So Murder on the Rocks is the first of hopefully many.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I guess you can just use like most people have food coloring in their homes, right?
So
So
and so the thing that I found while going to conventions is the fact that granted I made the vials red and green because red murder, blood in the water,
hmm
kind of deal makes it look like blood is floating in drink. Green envy. So like that's how the two vials came. But then I started going to conventions and people were like, it'd be really fun if I put like egg white into my friend's glass. And I was like, genius. Like make it a punishment. That's so smart. So it really took my community that loved the game kind of giving me that feedback that really shaped the game into what it is today.
did you have a history of playing like board games or like murder mystery games and things like that, or?
No. So I had a job 10 years ago, one of my first IT jobs, where we played board games at lunch, and that was really my first exposure. And then after we all kind of went our separate ways, I never really played board games with my friends again.
Mm,
And I have a whole room of board games
yeah.
down here that just sit and collect dust because, well, now they don't. Not since I started designing games, but before this, they just sat and collected dust because my friends just didn't play board games. We really didn't get together. That wasn't something that we did. So me creating a game just came completely out of the blue,
Yeah.
out of nowhere. So this really was my first exposure to game design.
I found like one of the best is so two things I want to say. One is when you say like you have the room full of games, and I think you kind of touched on something there, right? Where as a game designer, the best way to become better at game design is to play a lot of games, right? And
Yeah,
so it's kind of dusting off like the oldies but the goodies. I find myself when I'm playing games at a game night, there might be a game that doesn't even really interest me, but I'll still play it because I want to, there's something probably in there I can learn from, right? So it's always good to
yeah,
try to play a lot of games. The second thing is if you have a lot of friends that don't play games, which a lot of us do, find some more friends.
yeah,
and you,
yeah. That's kind of what I did.
yeah, and you can literally do that. You go to a local meetup, right? I know here in Canada, we've got like an app for that where you type in like board games or board game groups, and it'll give you all the public available groups that you can join. They're in the area, and you can make some friends. And you have your core group of friends from before that don't play board games, and you'll have new friends now that do play games. But it's one of those things that the more you can kind of get yourself
Yeah,
into a community that plays games, you're going to get to play a lot more. And quite frankly, even play test some of the stuff you've come up with, right?
yeah, yeah. So that's basically what I did is, well, one, my close friends, I started to force them to play board games with me.
Yeah.
So they were the first play testers. They are my biggest supporters, and they basically once a month now we actually have a board game night. So this kind of started the ball rolling on creating my friends that I've had for years now. Now we have a once a month board game night where we play different games and stuff like that. And so and then on top of that, from developing the game, I've been to conventions where I've made friends. I've people are like, I have this friend that does this thing, and I go there. They're playing board games. So now, like, I've built this community now
Yeah.
around me that I feel like where, like, if you asked me 2 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, I just I have friends, but I don't have a lot. And now I go. I have so many friends, I don't
Yeah.
know how to schedule a time.
It is amazing how a shared interest can bring people together.
Yep.
And it's awesome. And I'm part of a local gaming group, and that was kind of a split off from a gaming group that I was part of that was about 45 minutes away from where I lived. And I remember I talked to that host at the time, and he's like, just be prepared when you start your group. People are going to form friendships and they're going to break off, right? And your group's
Yep.
going to grow, but it's almost like an asteroid going through the sky. You're going to have little pieces kind of breaking off. And it's so true, but it's cool because I'm seeing like these groups of people that were part of our gaming group that are now gone and who met at something I put together, and now they're close friends and they're playing weekly together, right? It's like, wow,
Yep.
I was able to help bring those people together. That's such a cool feeling, right? So
Yeah.
it is such an amazing community. As you are going through this game, I'm going to show it on screen for people that are watching live or even on the replay. First of all, I just want to congratulate you. You still got 23 days to go. I'm going to put this in Canadian dollars. It's the only way I can see it. 60, almost 69,000 in funding on a just under 14,000 goal. So you've crushed your goal. Congrats on that. 611
Thank you.
backers. That's amazing for your first debut game. That is amazing, amazing. So good for you. It shows you obviously put a lot of homework going into this. Can you walk us through, I guess using descriptive words for those that can't see the visuals I'm showing, kind of what this game is about and like how do you play this game?
So Murder on the Rocks is a cocktail whodunit. So it takes those standard social deduction where there's roles and things like that. It kind of adds cocktails as a flavor. I didn't want to make a game that was strictly like you take a shot every time someone dies or something like that. Not your traditional drinking games. I wanted something a little bit classier. So we brought cocktails in as a mechanic. The way it works is there are two vials. There's the murder weapon, which is depicted typically as a red to simulate blood in the water. But you can put whatever you want, and that is used by our murderer, who is randomly selected by the roll card. They'll murder their victims throughout the game. And so the way it kind of works is everyone gets a character, weapon, and location. Kind of that Clue vibe where like you're trying to figure out who the murderer is, how what weapon they used, and the location.
Mm.
So your character, so for instance, in front of me, I have Ricky Bellini, the flamboyant actor with the crowbar, in the study. So those are my cards. I now take on the role of Ricky, and you kind of create your story. You can create your motive, get into it, like really get into creating that murder mystery. You don't have to, but it creates that immersive murder mystery. And then basically next, I'll check my role whether I'm the murderer or innocent. We'll go into a blind dance party. So one thing I noticed about a lot of social deduction games is that you can hear the person
Oh yeah.
moving next to you.
Yeah.
Or if you play with my friend's mom, she will literally sit there and be like, okay, what do I do next? As the murderer.
Yeah.
So to kind of combat that kind of give away who's who. I've added a blind dance party. It also
Oh, that's
follows the
fun.
thematic theme of we're at a masquerade. So everyone will put on a blindfold. My dad actually came up with that idea, who doesn't play games. He thought I was nuts because I just graduated with my PhD on designing this game. But he was like, you know what'd be really cool is if you did blindfolds. So Dad, the blindfolds are in it. And you put on your favorite song, it can be whatever song you want. I really lean into the theme of murder, so like I'll play a lot of songs that kind of play into that theme. And you dance the night away. And while you're dancing, the murderer will take the murder weapon and put it thematically into someone's drink to poison them. It typically, if you depending on what ingredient, it will change the color of the drink.
Hmm.
I typically use grenadine and it kind of floats in the drink so you can see it. Um, the killer will tap the victim to take their mask off, and that's how the victim knows who murdered them. So now the killer is going to create a deck called the Whisper deck.
Mm.
This is from a set of clues which are completely visual clues. There's no words on them. There's very tiny hints. Like one of the cards, I like to point this one out because this one's so subtle that no one ever gets it. On one of the clues, you're in the kitchen. The clue shows you in the kitchen, but there's two onions very prominent in the picture. And if you look closely at those onions, they match the inventor's glasses. So that's how intricate the clues are.
Oh
My
wow.
illustrator did a great job. I do have to commend her on that.
Who is
Um,
it? I think you need to call them out because I mean this artwork is awesome.
Yes. Her name is Zoe Almond Job. She has an Instagram, so go follow her.
Oh,
She
she's
has done
amazing.
a great job on the cards because like it's just the level of detail that she put into these
Yeah, they're cool.
just really captured what I was looking for. So I really do have to commend her on creating these clues because it's just so subtle. Like I said, that just those onions with the glasses, like no one ever gets that, and I love giving it as a clue. So, like, and that's the thing is the killer's giving the clues to the victim. So there are 20 in the base game. There are 20 cards. They're clue cards. Each round, the killer is going to be giving an increased number of clues to the victim to choose from. So the victim has to choose from what the killer gives them. It kind of gives the killer a little bit of an edge because they can control what they give to the victim, but the victim's still trying to convey something from that card to everyone else.
Mm.
And basically, you go over 4 rounds trying to pick what the victim is trying to tell us from beyond the grave, and they cannot talk. So it gives that kind of Mysterium vibe of not talking.
Oh, that's cool. And then in terms of the shake, like I want to call it the shaker too. So this is actually included. Like I found this kind of clever, how you have this kind of unique package, I guess, that you can kind of put everything in this shaker and kind of bring that with you to the party. Is that?
Yeah, so for your visual viewers, this is the game itself. So this is the full game. So it is in a shaker.
Mm.
Everything from the tokens to the vials are in this shaker if you purchase the base game. Um, so that was just kind of just a clever idea that someone else gave me one day saying what when I was back with the liquids, they were like, take it out, get rid of the box, make it the shaker. And I was like, and that gave me that classy vibe that I was looking for this game.
Yeah. No, it's super cool. And so in terms of like sourcing things like that, being your first kind of entrance into this board gaming publishing world, like how did you go about, like for those out there who are maybe looking at trying to get into games, like where did you start, right? To try to start figuring this stuff out.
So the first manufacturer that um I started talking to a couple and just asking if they could do this shaker cup, and almost all of them said, yeah, we can source that for you.
Yeah.
So it was just basically going to manufacturers, asking them. The one thing I will say is no matter what, the only place I couldn't manufacture was in America. So that was like, they were like, I'm just gonna tell you, you can't do it here.
Yeah.
You need to go outside the United States. So that was the only problem I ran into, is the fact that I was very limited to where I could go and manufacture this.
Yeah.
It's mostly in China because they already have the molds for the shaker cup.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I started. Is I started there because most games are manufactured in China, and yeah, that's basically it. They told me everything. They just tell them what they want. If they have the molds, they'll do it. And so we kind of progressed. We found what worked for the game, and now we're here.
And then can you talk a little bit about the like the monocle, the drink book, these kind of deluxe add-ons?
Sure.
What are they all about?
So the monocle that you mentioned is only in the Reserve Collector's Edition,
Mm.
the Hidden Reserve. So the idea behind that was back in the day, how people kind of hid their alcohol in books. They cut out a hole in the book, put their
Yeah.
whiskey in there, right? So I wanted to create that feel with the game as well, keeping that with that classy kind of hidden vibe of the game. So that's kind of so that version comes with the monocle, the upgraded monocle. The base game comes with a square magnifying glass, and then it comes with the book. The physical book is available separately as well, but the physical book comes with 20 stories of all the characters. Me and a friend are actually writing all the stories. I wrote the first five, she's writing the next five. And then it comes with stories of the mansion, the party, and drinks for all of those that are related to. So, for instance, Ricky Bellini has a glittery Bellini drink related to him. So, yeah, it's to kind of create more of that immersive, like getting you into what Whiskey Ridge Manor is, which is where the masquerade takes place, and the backstory on that, the backstory on the characters, and what their motives could have been to help people that aren't really in that creative space to create a story. Like you can read through and you can become Ricky Bellini based off what his motives were, of murdering whoever the victim is. So I created that all for you, put it into a book. It has a map of the mansion as well. Um, yeah, and then we have two expansions. The New Blood has more characters. Both of expansions have more characters, location, and weapons. New Blood has the two new roles, which is the witness and the accomplice. So
Mm.
the accomplice is obviously going to help the murder. The witness is going to see the accomplice do it. So the witness has a little bit more information. The accomplice has all the information and is trying to steer everyone away from the killer. And then you have with a twist, which comes with the scenario cards. Basically, it can speed up the game, can add more clues, take more clues away. It all depends on what scenario card you draw to kind of make it a little bit more chaos in the game.
That's cool. Is there any limit to the stories you can add to this? I guess not, right? Like it just this can continue on like
So we just unlocked last week three new drink stories on the Kickstarter. So I have three new stories, and it looks like it's going to be the Lackland family, which is the owner of Whiskey Ridge Manor.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be writing those stories hopefully in the next few weeks to kind of try. I'm gonna try and get it done before the end of the Kickstarter. But it's endless. Like I could add more characters if I want, because me and my illustrator were like, what characters kind of would work with the, because we started creating the expansions after some of the clues were created. So what would work with the clues that we already have, kind of introducing new characters. So I will say that in the next couple of updates, you're going to see some new characters appearing that aren't in the base game. They're in the expansion. So one of them is actually my favorite. So I'll give you a little hint. It is the Game Master. So naturally one of my favorites, seeing as I've created this game and kind of created this whole story. So kind of became the Murder on the Rocks Game Master here. So yeah, so kind of like you said, endless stories.
Yeah, and I think and this goes to say with all kind of murder mystery games, is it really is, you get out of it what you put into it, right? And those who love, I mean, and you and I are talking offline before in live here that, you take your most basic kind of mystery is like playing werewolf, right, or mafia, right, where it's kind of like a hidden role type thing. And this is taken to the next level, which is, okay, now you're embodying the actual roles of the characters. And that's awesome. And there's a lot of people that really love that. You have to find people that want to do that with you, right? And, so someone's like, well, what if I don't have, if my friends aren't the kind of people that like to act? Again, find people that are like that, right? There's tons of groups out there that you can even find online in your local area. Local theater groups, even people that just love to get out and socialize. That's what this is. It's about fun. It's about escape, and it's about just having a good time, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. I really like the hook you've got of this kind of like sneaking something into the drink where everyone opens their eyes and you can see, oh my God, Sally's been poisoned. Who killed her? Right? Which is so awesome. Where do you go from here? Like, are you... is your plan now to be like a publisher going forward? Do you have other games you're working on? Like, what's the next steps?
I actually have two games that I'm working on. I can't decide which one's next. So at some point I might go to my community and ask which one I do next. But I do want to try and continue to create games. I have found so much joy in this. Even like you said, with some of the negative feedback, I actually build a table because of it. But a whole game. I built a gaming table because of bad review. Someone that did like murder mysteries. But I really want to continue building cocktail mechanic games. So I can tell you that I had 20 different stories or 20 different themes for this game. So we have 20 ideas that I'm working on right now, and so definitely expect more from Misfit Mixers.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, for those listeners out there who are maybe budding game designers, the biggest piece of advice I can give is know your audience, right? Know your audience. There is no point in having someone who, doesn't like kind of getting outside of themselves and like role playing and things like that, reviewing a role playing or a murder mystery game. People who hate RPG games, don't have them. If you're creating an RPG game, don't get them to be your reviewers, because you're not going to get quality advice. It's going to help you make the right decisions for your core audience. So I often say that, and it took me a while to learn that lesson myself, but it is so true. For those.
Even if one, I just want to add something.
Sure, yeah.
Even if they get by and they give you some bad, like, because I had someone tell me my game was Murder on the Rocks was absolutely stupid and never gonna work at the very beginning. Don't let that ever stop you. Never. Just take a step back, take a breath, and reevaluate and keep going. That's the best advice.
There's always gonna be somebody out there that wants to take you down. Always, right? And you just got to keep that in the back of your mind. And I don't know who was it that said, I wish I could remember who did the quote, but they said, your game is likely someone's favorite game.
Yeah.
Right? If you create a game and you have someone crap all over it, just remember someone else, it's actually their favorite game.
Yeah.
So it's finding the audience for your game, not trying to make your game fit all audiences, right? So for those who do want to check out this campaign, I am going to put a link in the show notes. You can also just type in Murder on the Rocks. You'll find it on Kickstarter. Again, still 23 days ago. It's cool. Check it out. I love the page design you guys did here. I love the kind of the narration, whoever did your narration did a great job. It looks fantastic. So again, I want to congratulate you on this, Jill, and I can't wait to see where you guys end up. I'll be cheering you along all the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No worries. You take care. Cheers.
Bye.
This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.